Hello, today I want to tell you about tuples in Python. This is going to be a very short and simple video because essentially tuples are a lot like lists. The only difference between the tuple and the list is that a tuple is immutable, which means that once you have created it, it is impossible to change. So let's get started and create a couple of tuples and see what we can do with them. To create a tuple, you can do essentially the same thing you would do with lists, except instead of square brackets you use parentheses, like so. Now this variable contains a tuple. You can mix different object types like so. And as you can see, just like lists, it can contain any kind of data that you want. And to access its elements, you can again just use indexing, just like with regular list. So you can type 0 in square brackets to access the first element, -1 to access the last. You can use slicing, like so, etc. So let's move on to the basic tuple methods. Aside from, to keep it simple, you can just type the variable for tuple, then dot, and hit tab a couple of times. Hit tab to see the suggested methods for a tuple. There are a lot less methods than there are for list. So let's see what they do. Count will count the number of times the value appears in a list. In a tuple. So let's say I want to count the number of times number 2 appears in this tuple. If I just run this, it's going to return me number 2 because it appears twice here and here. And index will return me the index of an element that I want to find out. So index of 3.4 will be 2, because 0, 1, 2. Excellent. Finally, immutability. What does it mean? Well, it simply means that you cannot reassign the elements of a tuple. So if I would have a regular list, like so, I would be able to reassign any of its elements whenever I want. For example, I would be able to say list 0 equals 10. And I would reassign it without a problem. For tuple, however, that is not possible. If I want to assign it to something else, I will get an error. Tuple object does not support item assignment. So that's it. That's the only difference. So why do I want to use it? Essentially, it is a list with a fewer methods and fewer things you can do with it. But it can be valuable in many situations. Immutability can be valuable when you need to make sure that object can be changed. Like, let's say if you want to create a calendar that will have a set amount of days or some data that you need to make sure that will stay the same no matter what you do, this may prevent any errors. Tuples may not be used very often, but sometimes they're very useful, and it's good to keep them in mind when you are programming. So now that you know this type of data, you will be able to use it whenever you want. So I hope this video was useful to you, and I'll see you next time.